Hey everybody, I'm just back today and I'm just doing a little bit of a product review. I have got my hands on one of the Frontline gaming mats, and this is my first Frontline gaming mat, and so I just wanted to do a quick chat about it. I know there have been some other reviews, so I won't keep this video too long, but I'm just going to give you my thoughts and then also just on the purchasing experience. Essentially, without going into any detail, I'd recently tried in the last year, it was actually last June, to get myself a mat for wargaming, actually for a different purpose than what I got this Frontline gaming mat for, a different game and things. And it took me about 10 months to get, well, I never got the mat. It took about 10 months of waiting, and then I finally got my money back with the other company. And I won't go into who it was, but coming off of that experience, it was probably the worst wargaming purchase experience I'd ever had. And so I opted to now try and get myself a Frontline gaming mat. Now, initially, most of the mats I wanted were out of stock, but when I wrote the company, they promptly let me know that they would be getting a shipment in and when. And they said they'd be getting some in the beginning of June. They actually got it in the end of May, and so they were really accurate for the most part, even sooner. And so then I placed my order, and then within 2 weeks I received the box. For whatever reason, I didn't get it charged any customs duty coming in from the U.S. to Canada, but it came in this really sturdy box. They even put a little label on what the mat that I purchased was, and all the info on the outside. And so it took a bit to get into the box, which is actually a good thing. You know, it was actually really packaged well. As you can see, it's pretty much a layer of tape, like covering almost the entirety of the whole box, and so really sturdy. Now, this isn't like an actual unboxing in the sense that I've already opened it. Comes in this bag. Many of you may have seen this before. I've heard of folks say in the past that these have ripped, but this seems pretty sturdy to me, to be honest. I guess I'll have to find out. Maybe they've changed the bag, because it seems pretty sturdy. It does now. I guess this is a new thing. I've never gotten the old ones, but now they include a tag that shows the mat that's in the bag, and I guess this is good if you have multiple ones. But then on the back, it actually tells you the name of it, and then there's also something to indicate there's a number, like a model number underneath as well, because this is a 6x4 Barren Wasteland mat that I chose to get. And then also it has room for you to put your name and your contact info, I suppose, if you're bringing it down to the club. So, alright. So enough of that. So I chose the, just to let you know, I chose the Barren Wasteland mat. It wasn't really my first choice. I kind of wanted to get an urban one, but then from a practical standpoint, for just all the different games I play, I saw that this probably would be the best one to get initially. For my first mat, assuming I liked the product, just from like a utility perspective across games. I play a lot of different games, but obviously I'd like this for 40K. In addition to 40K, I could easily see this being used for, potentially, I say hesitantly, but potentially bolt action, but definitely Western themed games, and in the future down the road I am thinking about getting like a Western skirmish game, and I think that this would be really, really good, for that. And so yeah, like I decided to get this one. I think that it definitely could be used for Infinity too, if you play Infinity as well, I think. It's just basically like a wasteland, just a generic wasteland. So I do have this on a table that doesn't fit the whole mat. This is a 6x4, and so my table edge is just a few inches around, like totally around it, shy of the mat itself. Bringing down to my gaming club, or putting this on a proper 6x4, if I just put boards up, will be better. So. But for the purposes of the review, I think it shows the majority of the mat. So one of the interesting things is, I'll give you my honest feedback. Looking at it from like a standing view, you don't really see the fiber in the print of this at all, from what I can tell. When I go down to the mat itself, and maybe you can see it here, you can start to see the fibers that this is printed on. If I go even closer, you can see it even more. But you don't have to pull back too far to where really to the eye that stuff just completely goes out of view. And this is one of the reasons why I do think that a lot of people have said that these mats are great for on-camera bat reps, because the print quality just really seems to come out and it seems to reflect light really well. I have a window, some natural light coming from this side of the table. So if you look there, there's some natural light on it, but this is really probably a bit more accurate on this side of the table. The natural light really doesn't reach much. And I think it looks really good. I'll be honest, coming out of the bag, it does have very much a rubbery smell. So, you know, it doesn't really bother me a whole lot, but for some people that are sensitive, you know, that it does smell kind of like going into a, well, sorry, I'm just moving here to, it's kind of like that. It's similar to going into like a tire store. If you, I haven't heard anybody say that on the reviews, but that's kind of my impression. I suspect that that'll go away, and it doesn't seem like it's an off-gassing, you know, kind of smell. Like it's just a slight smell. A lot of, for myself, I wanted to just sort of test what everybody's been saying about how well these sort of slide across the table when you're moving them, but really, I can see what people are talking about. There's just no friction, you know, when you're moving stuff around. You know, this doesn't really seem to be much friction at all, and it is a padded surface, which is kind of nice as well. I think that the models really stand out well on the mats in general. My Marines have a bit of a nice, my Eldari base gray, and so I guess it's not the worst thing in the world. They're gray with sort of a brown base, but my Marines are base brown. I think they probably go pretty well to just blend in slightly with these mats. That wasn't intentional, but I think it looks pretty good. In general, the design is fairly generic. I mean, it's mostly just rock, and it looks like sand blowing over rocky areas and some earth. I think it looks pretty good. And it's funny, one of the things that's been repeatedly said in reviews is how that people love the way dice roll on it. And I thought that was really funny when I was watching reviews, just because I never really mind or pay attention much to dice rolling. Now when I play some board games, you know, or, you know, like if somebody's, let's say, sleeping in another room, you know, like the sound of dice hitting a table definitely can be annoying, and I can see how this could really prevent that. The other thing, though, is a lot of times at my gaming clubs, with hard surfaces rolling dice on them, the dice scatter and oftentimes end up off the table. Like, we don't use those trays that I see a lot of people use. And so I'll just kind of just throw a few dice on here just so you can hear and see what people are talking about again. It almost sounds like rain falling, but it almost it cushions the blow when the dice hits the table, but it also allows them to roll. Like, it's not soft like a sponge. It actually rolls perfectly fine. And so I can see why people like this, because if you're doing a lot of battle reports and things, I can see how that might just be a nice little touch. And in some ways, it got me thinking, even when you roll in, let's say, something dedicated, like a dedicated tray, it got me thinking, why don't people just put mouse pads in them? You know, because this just kind of like prevents it from bouncing out, but it still allows it to roll and deadens the noise. So it's like a noise deadener, and like, yeah, it's just like a really cool sort of side effect of the whole process. So beyond that, I think that's mostly my review. Even looking at it through the camera here, even close but at an angle, you don't see the fiber in the print. It just looks really, really good, in my opinion. These things, sorry my finger was in the view there, but these things seem to be the cat's pajamas, so to speak, lately, and that wasn't so much why I got it. I just really feel like a nice mat is really good for a gaming experience, and I could easily, from what I've seen so far, see myself getting another one of these in the future. The last thing I'm going to do is just mention, I guess you guys have seen these in the bag. I'm not going to put it in the bag just to show it to you because these are all over the net, but I was concerned just how heavy these things were because I lug a lot of stuff back and forth to my gaming club, and I think somebody might have indicated that it was kind of heavy, but I'll be honest, I think these things are really light. Like I lug a lot of stuff around and it is long. You know, there's some weight, some heft to it when you just pick up the mat, but when it's rolled up in a bag with a handle, like, I think these things are fairly light. And so I wouldn't be, personally, I'm not concerned about that. So, alright, so here's my little review on the Frontline Gaming. I believe these are called F.A.T mats, and this is the Wasteland one, which just Barren Wasteland is what it's called, and I think this is one of the originals. I think it's been a pretty successful print and mat for a lot of people. So, all right, take care, guys.